Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Upsurge Premier League here for the finishing off of the season before we head off into the playoffs, and these teams get to really show where it all matters. But my name is Infernosis, joined here by Fellow, and we've got a great matchup here, the first of this night, X13 versus Phantom Legion, and there's a lot on the line.
Well, not so much for X13. I mean, they've already solidified their place. They'll be top four if they lose this, and then they'll get first if they win this. So winning it would be nice after all, but a lot is on the line for Phantom Legion. If they do not win this game, then they're out. They'll barely manage to make it. It'll go into a far spurse of ties here and there, a three-way or four-way tiebreak here or there, from what I recall. And that wouldn't be pretty, obviously. But Phantom Legion, they have to win this, and then they got to fight the good fight in order to keep themselves alive. But it'll still be a good game nonetheless. I think we've seen these two teams fight out once before, Scott. It was a while ago, so memory is a bit rough, but I know these two can really battle it out, especially on those barn burner maps like Cafe, like Clubhouse, like Oregon. So I'm hoping we go to one of those maps, sadly, but we're going to be able to find out in just a few moments. Before that, though, we got to get through the rosters, of course, and the rosters as well are quite phenomenal.
I mean, obviously, we've watched Phantom before. We know how good Giono and Tak are. Buzz is doing a great job. Great additions to the team all around for Phantom Legion. X13 doing the same thing. Craze hoping to see them go crazy. J Slime popping off and Snows once again. Great rosters on both sides. Let's see what the difference and what I think is going to be the big difference here, depending on the map. It's either going to be who can entry first and what that entry differential is going to be, or it's going to be who can have the stronger roam game. Because the one thing that at least you and I have noticed here consistently inside of this league is there is a pretty strong difference in terms of teams who like to actually play the roam game and who want to just turtle up an anchor. And it's typically shown that most teams that roam better than others typically come out on top. It's just that major difference. But we can see the bans come through. We're going to be going to the old-fashioned clubhouse to come through. X13 will start off on the attack, but obviously, from the style of bans we're seeing here, John, with X13 taking Consulate and Cafe, obviously not liking these large maps, and then banning Chalet, which is also a large map. They just really did not want to play on these, I guess, exploratory sides, so maybe X13 don't want to play that roam game.
Even though you might be right about that, I still think that the Roam extensions that can occur on Clubhouse are out of this world. It's always nice to see, even on basement, you go all the way up to the top floor, you bring that Mute Mozzie combo, you start reinforcing walls like Jacuzzi, for example, and then wasting so much time in the early game and then just retreating down below back into the bomb site. It's always something to love to watch. So I hope at least one of these two teams brings it out. Maybe we'll see polar opposite setups where, like you mentioned earlier, a very anchor favorited kind of play style, which does work on Clubhouse. Both of those styles work, but maybe X13 will do the exact polar opposite, perhaps. But we'll find out pretty much right now because we're going right into the map, not wasting any time whatsoever. Then we can get through the ban. So maybe that can give us a better insight as well as to how these two teams are going to play, because sometimes those are just dead giveaways.
What's your prediction here for the ban here, John? I mean, we're talking about Clubhouse, so Habana, Ace are
Yeah.
pretty good bans. Thatcher's obviously a go-to. Your defensive bans. Maestros can be banned out. Mirrors are typically kind of left in a lot of standard plays right now, but what's your take on what we're going to see?
I mean, we'll see definitely some common stuff occurring. The Habana is almost a dead giveaway. Every now and again, you can see an operator like Sledge perhaps rear its head out, and that can be for a couple of things. One, he's predominantly used for that stop destruction, so it's a little bit of a slap in the face, kind of just like, haha, now your job is slightly more difficult, but also because castles are used quite frequently, and Sledge is the best counter to that. So when you're extending all the way up above, you put down those castle panels in order to cut off sight lines and just, again, waste that time like you should be on those extensive roams. And when Sledge is on the board, it really doesn't waste that much time. About 5 seconds. It's one of his numerous amount of charges, but we're not going to see him. We'll see the other common operator of Thatcher off the board instead. So far, incredibly defaulted stuff. You mentioned Habana earlier, really strong on this map, and a couple others now as well. So that does not shock me whatsoever.
I mean, in seeing this Valkyrie band come through, I mean, we know, especially when it comes to T3 scene, teams are just removing Valkyrie as a go-to every single time. I dare say Valkyrie is banned more often than even Mira these days. I mean, it's just, she's that strong across the board, and it's just information is absolutely everything. But I guess it comes down to really what this last ban is going to be, and it is, in fact, going to be that Mira we talked about. Mira typically left in Clubhouse. Not really banned as often because it's really only super strong when it comes to holding gym and bedroom. So instead of seeing the Kaid ban, or maybe instead of seeing a Maestro ban who's strong on 2 out of the 3 objectives, we're seeing it here with a Mira ban. So I'm interested to see what Phantom Legion are going to bring to the table. Obviously, that hurts them first, despite them picking it, because they're starting off on the defense, but I think they'll have to have enough to build off around it, but we are going to be starting off on this basement objective of Church and Arsenal, and they're bringing that Aruni in to maybe slow down the attempts from the attacking side just a little bit further.
And other than the Aruni pick, this does look super anchor-based, kind of. There's no Mute, no Mozzie, there's no Castle for those panels that I was really dogging on early on, not a Vigil. It's going to be a slight extension going into Boiler, and that's, for the most part, going to be it. But like I also mentioned earlier, this can work out completely fine for your team regardless, as long as you have plenty of utility to burn through. You've got C4s, which Buzz and Bait obviously do, and also those Syria gates, because now you have to add even more utility towards those upper hatches. The one in particular that's going to be Kitchen, which always takes forever to get open, or the exact opposite happens, it gets opened right off of the bat.
10 seconds remaining.
You gotta be a little bit wary about where exactly you're gonna be placing these rotation holes.
5
Some
seconds
teams
left
like to
before
actually
insertion.
place a rotation hole in terms of standing rotation without having to make it a crouching rotation right here. We obviously see that Phantom Legion are opting to go for a crouch hole instead, but maybe that could be a way to slow it down. Giorno holding out inside of tunnel right now of dirt, wary to a degree of drones being tossed in through the hole, but won't be able to contest it for long. Instead, takes that step away, and we can see Chapo is sitting in a position to make a viewable shooting hole so that J-Slime can get a little bit of a higher ledge and aim down. You can see that happening right here at this moment. They're looking for an opportunity, and Giorno is looking to maybe escape from it as well. There's a lot of utility that has to be burned through by the attackers to get into this tunnel safely. And Giorno with these Toxic Babe and the ADS, as we see from Dolly, that are situated here, will make it that much more difficult. But Buzz from an outside window finds Chapo, the one near main stairs. I can only assume it'll go for an early pick, and X13 are now a man down.
Maverick already being down early on, along with J-Slime. That's a ton of information and utility just already gone off the board for X13. Phantom Legion have started things off spectacularly on this first round, adding even more fire to it currently as Buzz picks up one on a craze. It's honestly beautiful by Phantom Legion right now. They have stopped every single engagement so far that X13 has thrown on them, up until Snows rears his ugly head up above via that vertical play. But even though he managed to get one on attack, it's a really unrecoverable round. You'll get that hatch opened up in Kitchen, but that's really your only avenue of approach other than main stairwells. And right now, there are just too many bodies scattered all across the plains right now, favoring Phantom Legion. This could already be a round loss for X13, but I wouldn't be too concerned. It's always the first round. It's always going to be rough attacking a site like Church and Arsenal, especially not like Clubhouse. Super defender favored. It's probably expected, but man, X13 really just from the get-go lost all their engagements.
Yeah, especially with the fact that Aruni just makes it so that any attempt to maybe swiftly step in and catch Phantom Legion off guard, and maybe a desperate attempt to find at least some level of success is going to be just slowed down, even fizzled out entirely, as they're forced to waste even more utility to clear that. And you see Snows right now has a drone, maybe can toss it through, but it's such a waste to use that information utility to do just that. And I don't think they necessarily have a choice. X13 are facing off against the Goliath right now of Phantom Legion, who's looking extremely hot into this round. Dunny is coming in right now from Secret, stepping down into blue, looking for maybe an opportunity. That secondary lifeline utility of that impact now out. Sees one player, does get the swing, and does find it into Dally. Tries to go for another, but Bait will find it instead. It's Snows who started the plant, forced to step off, manages to down Giorno. Now in a firefight situation, rushes, finds Buzz, but it does not matter because Bait, round the corner of that elbow, finds the kill, even though time would have done it just the same.
Close clutch there. It almost appeared that Phantom Legion almost got a little too aggressive there at the end, but like you said, time was really not favoring X13. Those gun engagements, however, were favoring Snows for the time being, but a win nonetheless, even though it did get messy at the very end. And wow, I'm surprised, Scott. We're going to gym and bedroom. We talked about how this site can be a little bit more of a nuisance when Mira's off the board, which she commonly is. And this kind of lineup, it's good, but it's not normally what you expect. Castle, again, a very prominent or dominant operator on this site in particular, and Goyo can appear for the most part, especially if you want to play not just in cash room, but also construction when you have to kind of remove your ground inside of the cash room itself. So seeing neither one of those operators is a bit off-putting, but the double denial of Jaeger and Wamai surely worth it, and also Aruni back on the board once more, which did prove to be a bit of a nuisance towards that end game again. And if X13, if they lose those numbers early on again, then have to just go through a gauntlet of utility, it could really just, it could give them zero chance of recovery whatsoever.
The gauntlets, as you stated, I really like that phrasing for it, because that's really what it does. Just look out. I mean, when you think about, let's think about it in a way like the old Wipeout games, right? Where you have to get through all of the challenges in front of you and make it all the way through, and it's really just placed against you, and by all odds, somebody's got a button that presses it the second you pass by, right? Somebody's hitting that giant switch to swing that giant plastic thing around a corner and knock you off into the water, and I feel like Phantom Legion just had full control of that last entire round, except for maybe the last 10 seconds. I think the person at the control switch for holding all the buttons maybe just fell asleep towards the end, but leading up to that point, I mean, that person was attentive, and they definitely took care of business where necessary. They've got a little bit higher difficulty section to do so. John, I'm of the opinion that, in all honesty, CCTV and Cash Room is a harder objective to defend than this gym and bedroom site. So seeing this gym and bedroom come up first, or second, technically speaking, is, I think, a smart decision, just because of the way that CCTV and Cash Room has kind of turned into an attacker-sided map in recent times. But time will have to tell. X13 have their work cut out for them. Attempting to come in from this eastern side, now have full control of Garage, and apparently CCTV and Red Stairs. But I think that we're going to have to see Phantom Legion buy time and get away safely.
Great clear by X13 so far. They've already removed the players inside of Cash Room, and now they can start pushing their way upwards, but one death will in fact occur, but Craze gets the nade from the grave as well, so a trade effectively. Now things back into a 4-on-4 this time. Things not looking overly horrible for X13, but they still have a lot to do nonetheless. They gotta remove the player in the back of Logistics, I believe, as now Buzz has taken his place. He's on about 50 HP, give or take, or directly as a matter of fact, but he'll still be very difficult to deal with as of right now, and the map control now trying to come in towards the bomb side as well. J Slime outside, try to pop some shots, and not going to fully confirm that kill just yet. Still keeping things an even man count as Buzz almost finds one, and he'll actually lose the fight. Now Logistics in the hands of X13. This is a much better area right now for them to be in, as they have the man advantage up by 2 now.
Ooh, make that 3. The nade comes through. J-Slime finds it. And I want to point out a big fact here. 6 nades were in the pocket of X13 entering this round. And they still have 2 left. Dunny knows Bait is on the staircase. Bait is going to pre-fire it as they step through. But there's Chapo on the refrag, finding Elma as he swings out a bedroom door. Those 6 nades, all 4 that were tossed at that point in time, found 2 kills in that round. It seems to be an explosive ordnance kind of style that X13 is wanting to bring to the table, at least to that master and gym site. I think things will have to be told in a different story, though. CCTV and Cash Room. We are seeing the Sledge come up and the Maverick once again, but we are not seeing the Dokkaebi. I believe that's who it was, right? Was it a Dokkaebi? My silly? No, Yana. We're not seeing the
Yeah.
Yana. I don't know why. I saw the Mark 14 EBR. My brain jumps to Dokkaebi. I'm gonna forget Aruni has it. I just like Aruni more.
Yeah.
Seeing that we're not bringing 6 nades this time around, just 4, maybe they realize they don't need all 6. They didn't even get to use all 6, and they really only need 4 to get the job done.
The best thing probably you could substitute as well with stun grenades, or in this case, it's still stuns. Never mind. I was gonna say, Snows can now bring in smoke grenades, but he's still rocking the stun grenades. I mean, that's completely fine. It can, again, burn through more of that utility, and to be honest, the B-bomb site, which most players like to plant when attacking CCTV and Cash Room, it has great natural coverage, and a smoke grenade is not going to stop the C4 from blowing you sky high, which is normally how most attackers die when they go and defuse, or smoke grenades as well, because Giorno is rocking that SAS operator with the Mossberg shotgun in hand. But besides all that, pretty good lineup to say the least, and we're not seeing a very heavy roam game once more. It's just go into rafters, have some kill holes here and there, especially near red stairwell. Again, very conservative and also pretty default as well, but it worked for them perfectly, I should say, on the lower bottom site of Church and Arsenal. And if some more gunfights were simply won by Phantom Legion, I feel like Gym and Bedroom could have been a very easy win for them.
More than likely, we're going to see a construction-oriented push. I mean, obviously, we'll have some of this on this, hard wall, that Eastern sub that Maverick trick is coming through as we see Chapel repelling forward. But in all honesty, I don't think it's going to be a very centralized push in regards to that. I think construction, you've got a thermite in hand, and at that point in time, when you've got a thermite, there's no real safe location to bust through besides go and then that construction hard wall connecting into Cash Room, and I think having multiple directions to work through is a smarter plan that should be put in action for X13. They have what it takes to do it. They have the operators, and while J-Slime does take a little bit of damage off of Dolly, it doesn't seem to really matter in the long run, escaping with their life and now rotating in a direction that does lead me to believe that they just might rotate around and head over towards that Cash Room wall. But Craze loses the first firefight. Tag finds it from up top of rafters, a garage, and Craze cannot get the kill. Now X13, they have 2 nades still in pocket in the hands of Chapo, but they've lost the one in Craze's spot.
If the rotation were to happen, it would have already been going through right now, but instead X13 is fully committing to this Raptors take. Fragmentation grenade comes on out, but Tack is not going to get blown up. This is honestly perfect, but the second one will do the trick. S brings things back, even man count, and J-Slime now puts it in an advantage towards X13. There's a minute on the clock, plenty of time for X13 to really think this one through, and they still have that diffuser in their back pocket via Chapo, so they could try to get that B-bomb site control. However, there's still one up above in the middle of rafters, so it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm actually completely lying. I read the outlines the wrong way. That's my bad. They have Raptors control, so actually that turns things around completely, and it's basically all up to Giorno, as Buzz is currently having to worry about that lower red stairwell area instead of trying to deny that plan. Now 40 seconds as well, though. Drone comes out, and Buzz now gets spotted, so again, really having to fear for 2 separate angles at the exact same time, and although Giorno has those toxic babes, he really cannot help out Buzz as much as he does already, especially when he's 6 feet under, and now Buzz in a 1 versus 3, X13 completely aware of his position. He goes for the C4 toss, and it does not get shot out of the air. He injures one, but can't get another. J-Slime wins the fight. X13 take the 3rd round, and again, another amazing performance, even up until that endgame scenario.
13 did a great job. I was expectant of the push around construction, but the way they were easily able to step into garage and then seeing them use so much utility to commit to that rafter side, that's when all hopes of stepping towards that construction and Cash Room connecting wall was just out the window. They did what they needed to do. They found success, and X13 capitalized exceptionally so. Now a 2-1. We're going to be heading back to this Church and Arsenal room where we've seen Phantom Legion, I guess, fester out the, or fizzle out the attack of X13, forcing them to lose every single member in the first minute and a half and then almost lose it out in the last 20 seconds. But nonetheless, beyond that, we've seen Phantom Legion find success here, and they are fighting for their life here inside to make it to playoffs. X13 are showing a very spectacular performance when it comes to that second floor 2 objectives. I'm interested to see how they attack this time around. They don't have any Yana, so they're still only rocking the 4 nades. They put a lot of heavy pressure last time and such heavy emphasis on the actual dirt tunnel wall, and instead didn't have as much pressure elsewhere until the last 20 seconds came around where they stepped down that central staircase and then also dropped down that hatch. That may have been because X13 was lacking members after losing them off so early, or maybe just X13 prefer the type of strategy, but either way, you cannot do the same exact thing because Phantom Legion, they had your number.
Attackers are moving out to locate
There's a lot of different approaches that X13 can take, and they've gone for kind of the unorthodox method, at least for some of these rounds, especially when it came to that last round where they in fact cleared out Raptors, which is why I made that mistake. I'm so used to having a defender just sit on top of Raptors, hold down the fort against that construction-sided push heading into cash. It just really, my memory just I had a brain fart, I'm going to be honest with you guys. But it's been working out great for X13. A 2-1 start on the attacking side, that's spectacular. You've already won your 2 defaulted rounds, and it really doesn't seem like there is no sign of X13 stopping this forward momentum. And again, it really depends on how they want to attack this. They already have control of bar, so it really just, it's up to X13's imagination. Praise can start doing that vertical play because he's flushed out Buzz now. He has to play a little bit more backwards. He has that C4 pre-position, though, which could guarantee him a free kill if he gets the timing right. But with the lack of that intel, because Valkyrie is off the board and there's no pulse either, this could... It's a coin flip at this point, and if Phantom Legion does guess the right side, this could be devastating for X13.
I think X13 have to swiftly make their way towards the objective. We noticed the first time where they kind of got fizzled out, it was because they lost a lot of players. They also kind of fell into that stupor that is that last 20 to 30-second meta. I can definitely see they don't want to do that this time around. You can see how much utility's being burned. You can see how quickly they're moving around to get sight lines and figure out what they need to do in each direction. You can see they're near desperation, I guess you could say, as they're just culminating an attack to be able to be stepped forward to maybe catch some of these Phantom Legion players off guard. But I guess the question that comes to mind, is it going to be enough? Craze lying down by the kitchen hatch finds a long shot towards Church. Buzz will be sleeping with Buzz Lightyear, that toy past its expiration date. And now J-Slime, who's sitting in Oil Pit, could take the step down through as Dunny sits in secret. They've got an ability to come inside and just absolute devastate the player that's sitting in pocket, but Tack will find a shot from the loaded Craze, refragging out and avenging the player Buzz, but Dolly's taking a lick of damage in return as well, as they're stuck in behind utility, trapped and just praying for answers.
And I mean, X13, they gotta start coming up with answers quick. There's only about 30 seconds left, and they still gotta find 4 frags and then a plant on around that if they don't want to go for all the kills. And right now, they have seen 0 success for the most part. It appears they're gonna try to go in through blue, but Dolly's still there. He even has coverage via those toxic bays by Giorno across the way. This could be a disaster for X13 unless they start finding kills right now, which Chapo in fact does. But 2 trades follow up, Tack and Dolly hitting their shots. A second for Dolly, beautiful marksmanship, and Giorno picks up 1 as well. Phantom Legion again able to hold down the fort quite successfully on this basement floor bomb site. And I mean, you can't really blame them. This is probably the best site to have a turtle base setup, so it's been going right into the hands of Phantom Legion time in and time out.
Just need 1 or 2 players situating off site, and really and truly it seemed to be they just needed Dolly to do it, and it found rapid success. 2 players attempted to step through utility, 1 from Oil Pit, 1 from Secrets. That blue side came up orange in the feed as Phantom Legion just absolutely dominated and found kill after kill. Dolly did not need that much assistance from teammates. They handled their own elsewhere, but we're finally seeing a Kaid come through as well. So we're going to be heading to that CCTV and cash room sign. Maybe they didn't like just how thoroughly they were dominated when it came to that master bedroom and gym site. Instead, now opting to completely ignore it and attempt to work their luck on this CCTV side. But we saw this one as well. The ability we saw from X13 to clear out and completely gain control of that rafter side to even cause the befuddlement of you here, John. So that even you were kind of shocked at how quickly it happened. I mean, it was an interesting execution, as you did see a Phantom Legion player, I believe it was Buzz or Bait at the time, who attempted to flank around through main door leading into garage, and then got down because of it on the refrag as they attempted to run away. I mean, the nades we saw from X13 have been able to find such rapid success, and I think a Kaid is exactly what they needed for Phantom Legion, because they just opened up that garage wall a little bit too quickly, and now with the addition of a Kaid to trick out the top of these Raptors, X13 are going to have to go for a whole new direction.
That now forces the Maverick player of Chapo to kind of use his blowtorch and waste a ton of X13's own time, especially since he's going to be pretty dedicated to helping Thermite get that wall open. But I think because both the Exothermic or part of Electro Claws the other E-based word, it's going to basically be just Chapo just getting some thin lines down on the back. Yeah, it's not really going to be that difficult for Chapo. So once he gets this platform wall opened up, or at least able for Dunny to get it opened up, he'll have basically no other job but to get either one of the back walls inside a garage open. So it's not going to be that difficult for him, but it will burn through some more time. And in those time crunching situations, X13 has truly crumbled up against Phantom Legion's very strong holds, in particular the first round and the last round that we just witnessed, where they had to go guns blazing into the lower basement bomb site with only about 30 seconds, and they had no direct man advantage. But if X13 does manage to get a kill here and there, then they'll have a much better position to put themselves into. But right now, that's not going to be the case. Giorno already picking up one. An amazing start for Phantom Legion.
Oh, good night. Say goodbye, J-Slime taking the L, even despite knowing they were there and watching their rear. Still loses that fight. Buzz just gets the kill instead. Peeks a little bit more aggressively, and that Pika's advantage rears its ugly head, and now it looks to be as they've got a 2-1 split. Two players towards this west side. Chapo and Snows now inside bedroom, waiting to step in towards construction. And then Dunny on the eastern suburb repelling towards that hard wall. The issue still apparent. They've got to step in. They've got to get kills. Dunny will start him off by taking Tack out, but Snows is trapped in a toxic bait that goes through the wall in an interesting scenario, but we know that they couldn't step into construction, step into garage because of that Kaid. A nice shot from Giorno will down Dunny, but it's not enough as Chapo steps up, finds two, now finding Tully in return. It's a 2v2 in theory. A spray comes through, Bait is holding a cheeky angle, finding Chapo instead, and Snows is left, but it's not going to be for long. Bait will clean it up in the end.
Great attempt by Chapo, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't enough. Still, that 2-on-1 essentially for X13, it's just not likely to be won, and the double system was there. It could have been an immediate trade, even if one kill in fact did come out for the Thermite player of Snows, but anyways, still a win regardless of Phantom Legion, and now we're already on the last round coming to for the first half, and we're going to be going back to gym and bedroom. This wasn't a site that was won yet by Phantom Legion, and surprisingly, they won't change anything up. They'll still run the Jaeger-Wamai combination along with an Aruni, and I don't think they ended up having a Maestro that last time either. I think they ended up keeping the Malusi, so this is literally textbook, just the exact same stuff that we witnessed a little while ago, and it didn't really work out that well. It kind of relied Phantom Legion to win their early gun engagements, and they just simply weren't able to do that. So if X13 can manage to not have it just come down to those gunfights, then they'll most likely have a much more advantageous position against X13. But, I mean, that's pretty much all it's going to come down to. I have nothing else to say, to be honest. I thought I had something brewing up, Scott, and I'm just like, no, I didn't. That wasn't the case. I lied. I'm sorry, Chad. I didn't mean to lie to you like that. I'm sorry, Chad.
It's the same thought process I have when I'm taking an exam. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure I know that. Let me just think for. No, I'm gonna fail this. it all goes down a little bit too quickly. I love this bulletproof camera position there by Tack to roll up on top of the shelves right there on top of the desk where the cash is being held. But let's point out once again, this last time we saw this objective, it was 6 nades being brought through, and Iana is not coming out this time around. I think it was Dunny who had brought it the time prior. Maybe it was J-Slime instead. It's a little hard to remember, but Iana was here, and they had the nades, and they found rapid success, now only bringing 4 of them. I think Phantom Legion have done a better job in the last few rounds of not dying to nades, I guess is the way to phrase it. Maybe just better positioning for the ADSs. One big moment was that basement hold we had seen just 2 rounds prior, where we saw Dolly able to stay alive inside of Secret down towards Blue. And I think it was because X13 didn't push once the ADSs were burned. They waited to throw even more, and the ADSs were able to recharge, and They ultimately got their nades 8 once again, and it became a major problem. And X13 ultimately lose the round because they didn't have the, I guess, stance to be able to take that aggressive push forward. But Maverick Wall completely taken out here now, as Chapo is going to get their job done. They've now got a pretty good position to step forward towards that gym side, but they need to get control of Logi first. And there's a player trapped inside bunker now, just barely able to escape. Buzz is at about 10 HP. Needs a dream and a miracle if they want to stay alive in this one.
Devastating first contact for Buzz. He is on a literal sliver HP, and now he's on no health. Craze will finally finish what he started a little while ago and picks up that entry onto the Lamai. Tak will now take his spot, so X13 don't get map control for free, and Tak's even able to reset that Syria gate, but now he'll retreat because of that. So X13, if they really want logistics, they can in theory have it, but it's going to cost them a lot of time and utility. And Giorno making things squared up now in a 4-on-4 as he picks up one on a J-Slime. It'll be a lot more difficult for X13, needless to say. They're a little bit down on time, and their resources could most certainly be better, time being one of them for certain. And Dunny, that lack of intel again, almost going to be devastating for him, but he luckily spots the face of Dally, but can't pick it up. Luckily, though, Snows picks up one on a Giorno, and Dunny will, in fact, finally finish off his old teammate. Now, 4v1, all up to Bait in this position. It's looking atrocious right now for Phantom Legion, but Bait at least picks up one. In an unwinnable position, he tries to light up one, and it's not going to be enough. Too many players to look out for. X13 will take that 6th round and bring us, I believe, 3-3. Or no, 3-3.
Dunny has won it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure here, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Dunny is the newest addition to this team. I say this
I think
because
he took Dolly's spot.
I think so.
Right?
I think because he doesn't have the X13 in the name. So I just, it's an assumption. That's totally wrong. Go ahead and feel and correct me. That's an,
I mean, you can't be more wrong than me, man. I'm like already second guessing myself, and we just came through the first half. Like, it's gonna be an interesting evening.
No, but at least we're not doing, best of threes.
True, that would be brutal for chat to watch. They might have to go mute the stream and just look at the gameplay if that was happening.
Terrible.
Oh my god.
No, but Dunny has had an exceptional game. Phenomenal all around. Did a really great job in the first few rounds to find success, even though they weren't able to win. Dunny has put so much forward. 6 kills to their name, and now they're going to be on the defense, and Dunny's picking up on Lucy, which is exactly what I personally wanted to see after seeing how well Dunny was playing throughout. But I want to make a point here to be seeing this kitchen hash. Not only is it going to have an Electro Claw placed, more than likely to be able to, Electro Claw out and keep it electrocuted, but it's more than likely also going to be impact choice. And so you do still have to worry about Giorno. If you get that early pick, because more than likely Giorno is going to go to that outside tunnel, you could put a person on central stairs towards that central stair window and get that opening pick outside from a spawn peak, and then basically Phantom Legion are going to turn into round 1 X13, and that's why we saw X13 lose round 1, just because they lost one of their most important people outside, and then couldn't even step inside because that dirt tunnel hold was just a little bit too strong coming from Giorno. But X13 now on the flip side, catching him on the flip side. I used to have long surfer here, I can say that. So
totally right.
I want to see this super heavy off-site presence, even though basement isn't really big for that, but we're already seeing that with J-Slime over towards Blue. We saw Cray stepping up on the 2nd floor. I'm really liking what I see. I hope X13 get picks off of it.
They're not going to fully extend, but they are going to have a deep roam of Craze at the very least, so as the cool surfer dudes would say, that's totally tubular, man. But hopefully he can waste some time later on. He hasn't really popped out just yet. That'll probably come into play a lot later when the drone game is more focused on that lower level where the players are actually anchored at, and then out of nowhere, Craze pops around a corner, lights you up with the MP5K, because that thing is like a bullet hose, I swear, and it'll be devastating for Phantom Legion if they don't check that top floor, which right now, I don't think they've really done. They're committing a lot to this middle area to get that vertical play, and hatches opened up, and also that lower level, and already it pays off. Read him like a book. Craze annihilates Dolly. Down goes Ash, and already a spectacular start for Phantom Legion. And now all of a sudden they gotta start looking up above. They're terrified of Craze, because if he picks up another, that's basically your round forfeited, and X13 will sweep away that advantage that Phantom Legion had not too long ago.
I mean, go crazy. I mean, I think that's
Go crazy,
exactly
go
what we're
stupid.
seeing right now.
Go Roman.
Go stupid, go crazy. I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Oh!
Craze finds a second on top of it into Buzz. That's the buzzword of the evening. Craze coming out on top is able to clean up yet another, and Thermite is not far behind. Bait seemingly, I don't want to say baited his teammate, but it does seem to be that way, as they had attempted to snuff out the player that was Craze and failed inevitably, as they have done a great job of just staying calm and keeping themselves collected. Warner with a nade from up above of Stockroom through Hatch, dropping into Blue, attempts to get a kill through it, doesn't even damage the opposition, and Craze finds a third, now looking for a fourth shot from the billiard side, not too sure where. Now Tack is coming in as well, they're coming in quickly, finds a fourth, turns, but can't find the fifth, and Craze will be shut down, but it's much too late. Phantom Legion have nothing left to play.
Oh my goodness, Craze was popping off. That was his round for the taking, and he almost took away a full ace, a team sweep if you want to call it that. But regardless, it'll still be a win. Tack in a 1 versus 4, having to find an ace of his own is not going to have the time nor really anything to kind of win this one out. He'll light one up near Church, but J Slime down the long hallway will just find some scraps at the end of that 7th round, and X13 take it pretty much flawlessly, to be completely honest with you, Scott. And I kind of called it. They didn't drone out upstairs. Craze picked up 1. Now Phantom Legion is playing Manhunt, and they just lost. They got dreamed. They just got dreamed. They literally went in a 1v4 manhunt.
Minecraft manhunt on
I
me.
literally, yes, Scott, I did that, because that's what all the
Oh my
cool kids.
goodness.
That's what all the cool kids understand. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
you're
It's
you're
on my
You're gonna be
YouTube
really
feed all
popular
the
on Twitter
time.
later. You're gonna be really popular on Twitter. Just make sure to tag it. What's
I'm
the
deleting
giant
Twitter
random
after this, Scott.
hashtag?
Don't worry, I'm deleting Twitter. You can't hold me responsible for my actions.
Oh
I am
my
above
God.
the law.
The law is Dream Stands on Twitter.
That is the law on Twitter.
No, I was really excited. You could tell I stated I really hope Craze pops off in that round. I stated I wanted him to find a kill. I wanted it to be successful because I didn't want X13 to go into round 1 of their defensive side and then fail. I didn't want to see them come through with it and then lose a player, right? I don't want them to lose that player early on without getting any success, and they'd be too scared to bring it out the next rounds. Instead, it's the most successful X13 has been, despite their nade round, which is a little bit impressive, right? And nade rounds are impressive, getting a lot of kills, but X13 have come through, and Craze has come through to show, hey, this off-site presence is completely uncontested. Phantom Legion didn't know what to do against it. We can continue to bring this out, catch them off guard, and find continued success, and that's my favorite style of R6. My favorite style is Roam. It's playing off-site, playing these aggressive positions, and attempting to go for all these angles that just sneak around the rear side. It's like a spy from TM2 without the ability to go invisible. I mean, imagine if we had that in R6. It's like Vigil, except Vigil's actually good at the game.
What? Oh,
No, I'm gonna get so much hate for that.
God, come
No, I
on.
love Vigil. Vigil's great.
You can't do that to Korean Batman. All right, that's uncalled for. Come on, Scott. But anyways,
He's got a lot in his utility though. Sorry.
yeah,
A lot on his mind.
You hate to see it. Anyways, enough with that. Getting back into the round, apparently. I agree, great to see Craze on that deep roam. He's not going to do it this time. He's sitting his pretty head right in the middle of sight, but at least he can now utilize all of his magnets, which will be very vital because look at what Buzz is bringing. Capital. You know who hard counters that operator? Wamai, which it does suck to see Buzz on such an operator that I ever so love, now having to run up against Craze, which is going to make his job so much more difficult. And even in a gun engagement too, which Craze actually wins. Oh my God, Craze. He's trying to find another ace almost immediately. He'll be put down to very little HP and finally finished off, but my God, what an impressive shot up against Buzz, and Dunny returns the favor on a bait, and just like that, the man advantage is back in the favor of X13.
What a great way to just put more dirt into the pile that is Phantom Legion right now. They have built a grave, they've dug the grave in the last few rounds, and now they're just slowly shoveling back up that loose soil and patting it down. You pick up a soil, you toss it into the grave. That was the first kill to go through, Buzz through the wall, and then you managed to kind of shift the dirt off of you because you weren't completely buried, but then immediately afterwards, bait falls as well from a great positional advantage of Dunny. And this grave is getting dug very quickly. X13 now in a position where they kind of have to sit on site. A little bit more dangerous as Jono does open up a small hole and Japo will be caught out because of it. But they've still got the player sitting on side rafters. They still have player towards this eastern red stairs. You've got a player on site, Dunny, who's able to make sure that Jono is done in this round. But Tack on the subroof side, he's the last man standing because Dunny gets a 3K to their name, taking Dolly. The D-on-D violence seems to be that X13, the bigger D. And that was a joke, man. That was not intended, but Dunny will find the 4K, and Tack did not manage to find the last two.
3 flawless, well, not flawless, but 3 round wins in a row flawlessly. Not a flawless quote-unquote round where everyone remained alive. That is infactual, false, not true.
Fake.
X13 doing much better so far, bleeding from that first half now to the second half, not losing a single time just yet, but now they got to go to the last but not least bomb site of Gym and Bedroom. The least bomb site is, of course, Bar and Stock. Don't ever mention that word to me, or name, I guess, ever again, because that is that's a horrible site.
Again.
Yeah,
you're
don't
not
ever
21,
don't
I
ever
can't say
bring
bar,
this up.
You know,
huh?
it's against the law. You're not 21. I can't say bar. You know.
True, actually true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, well, I guess. All right, I guess I'm screwed then, Scott. You might have to go find a new duocaster then. That might be awkward.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're bad. You ratted me out, man. Not cool.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's okay. You know what? I'm pretty sure 99% of our 6 players are in 21. So.
Now we're all going to jail. Now who's gonna play R6?
It's ridiculous. Absolutely crazy.
Aww.
You ever picked Bar and Stock and you aren't 21? You just broke the law right there. Also, there is literally a strip club on this map, so that is another problem entirely that we won't even get into. This map is cursed.
10 seconds left before insertion.
And somehow you bring it back. Just
5 seconds.
cursed. Indeed it is, Scott. Indeed it is.
What's the term?
Attackers must
Sus?
locate and defuse a bomb.
How did you do that? How did you get us to Among Us? How? All right, well, you win, Scott. All right, you keep your money, and you're funny because that was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. But oh my God, X13 now going into probably one of the less favorited bomb sites, even though, like you mentioned earlier, CCTV a little bit more difficult to attack or defend. Sorry, nowadays it's going to be a bit more of a committed extension, even with Craze on that deep roam. It won't be as successful though because he already gets picked up. So a fantastic start by Phantom Legion. However, they're still going to have to go through a lot of utility like those frost mats that almost killed Tack. It's going to take a little bit of extra time and actual love and attention from Phantom Legion, but at least they've already had a very fruitful start finding that entry onto such a devastating player like Craze, who basically just shut down an entire round for Phantom Legion from the get-go.
It kind of stinks to be shut down so quickly, but that's exactly what we're seeing. Tack is able to find another kill to J-Slime. Dunny is looking like they're about to be done in. I mean, they're kind of trapped. Chapo does find 1 kill and stops the bleeding just slightly, but I think this might just be a Hello Kitty Band-Aid on the wound. Dunny officially finished off now as Tack swings the corner of CCTV, connecting inside, and finds and connects to Chapo as well. Now downed, and Snows isn't even on the right floor, playing down on the first floor. This is not the position they want to be in. Has to rotate around. There's almost no way that Snows will be given the position, the advantage, the opportunity to get Chapo up. Instead, they're just going to have to lay there and bleed out inside of their own blood pool. This is essentially a 1v4, and John, I'm not sure Snows can do it. They have Toxic Babes, but they haven't been showing up as much as they previously would want to, and this round does not bode well.
Gets spotted out as well from Logistics, having to rotate on towards Bedroom. He'll throw out 1 Toxic Babe, but no one's there. Concussive Lightline comes out, even team-killing Chapo. He slaughters his own teammate just to deny the kill by Tack unintentionally, but it doesn't matter. Tack still finds his frag regardless. This time, though, it'll be on the smoke, and like you said, almost guaranteed win coming out there by Phantom Legion. They had a very impressive start to that round, and an even better finisher, to be honest. Getting someone to team kill their own ally and then adding even more salt to that open wound just by shutting him down almost immediately. It was kind of comical. I'm not going to lie, Scott. But X13 still having that round advantage now, not having to opt to go back to gym and bedroom, which they just lost, because now the rounds are starting to refresh themselves, or sites, I should say, are starting to refresh themselves. Now they can go back to Church and Arsenal, which was a completely different storyline from what we just witnessed from last round.
Absolutely. I think at this point in time,
Attackers need to locate and defuse
it's
as many
basically
bombs as they
X13's
can.
game to lose, right? They have won this before. They won it pretty well. So obviously seeing them go to it, like, okay, it's a comfortable round for them. So I'm of the opinion that this is X13's game to lose. They take this round. My prediction, they'll take this round if Phantom Legion doesn't show me something shocking. They take it. X13 then at match point, and they have a little bit of wiggle room. They have a round wiggle room before then the second round leads them into overtime if they fail that as well. So if X13 just make the mistake of, I guess, what's the word for it?
I don't know. I mean, what if X13 doesn't, if they kind of, if they get a little bit too much in their heads, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
But like they're not, when you're an underdog, like, help me out with this word here. This is gonna kill me.
Yeah, I don't get it either. We'll go back to that.
Somebody's an underdog. When somebody's an underdog and you don't respect them, right? You don't like expect much from them. What is that?
That's kind of yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's just kind of the underdog storyline. Yeah.
There's a word. All right, you take over. I'm gonna think.
All right. Well, you go think, and I guess I'll kind of I'll hold the reins for the time being. There is a lot though for Phantom Legion right now. If they don't win this, then they're pretty much out, and they have to kind of just forfeit any chances of them for the rest of the season, which would suck. But there's obviously next seasons they can go into, which I hope they do, because they've done a pretty good job overall for the season. But X13, they're looking to end up winning this, statistically at least, because they are defending right now, and it's been a bit of a hassle for Phantom Legion, except for that last round where they did find those entries, not waste too much time, and then did kind of put a lot of effort into looking for that last kill here and there, just to really make sure that they get at least one round win. And a 1 to 2 round rotation is not that uncommon, especially when attacking, but you got to do better, especially when X13 had a pretty decent start on the first half, bringing us to that 3-on-3 split, which isn't normally what occurs. Phantom Legion, they've got to bring more than their A game right now just to stay in the fight. And X13, they really don't have to do the same. But don't get me wrong, they also shouldn't just be completely undermining Phantom Legion right now, because that is not the key to winning out this best of 1 in Clubhouse, especially when things are still decently close, only a 1-round differential.
Can't find the word. I do know.
Undermining is a good word, though. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
But not exactly. I get it.
Jay Slime from below does manage to find 1 kill as they attempted to step down Secret, and Tack will be taking a little bit of a nap here. The three letters to 3 letters makes it pretty nice alliteration. But now Giorno now taking a step, a little bit of damage in the process. They're trying to decide where they need to step down. They still want to have some sort of sightline from above from Kitchen, but they're just not getting the opportunity. Dunny takes Giorno as they had taken that step towards that Mim side, but they aren't getting into a position to actually guarantee anything whatsoever. But a 5v3 in play. Phantom Legion are looking like a ghost, a phantom of their prior selves from the first half. Fake does drop down into Mim, looking for an opportunity. Grace finds 1. Immediately to Dolly, reframe down into a down position. Chapo finishes him off. Bait finds J Slime, but Chapo connects to not just his teammate, but a Buzz as well. And Dunny will done deal finish off the round into Bates, and Phantom Legion will not be able to stop this match point scenario for X13.
It's a little off-putting, most certainly. I think the fact that Phantom Legion did waste a bit too much time and didn't really get anything in return except for some sightlines that were used against them by X13. Losing 2 people off the bat like that is just, it's never good. Almost unwinnable. It can be done, but it's incredibly difficult, especially when you have a very anchor setup done by X13 where they're kind of anticipating this. They can win those gunfights kind of one-on-one, mano-a-mano, especially when they have such an underlying advantage. And now they're bringing us all the way into match point pretty early on, a lot faster than I really anticipated, even though this is still a close game, don't get me wrong. But now Phantom Legion, they have to win 2 round wins in a row, and they're going up against probably one of the better bomb sites of CCTV, which didn't really bode well for them the first time around, similar towards Church and Arsenal. And if we see a repeat like we just saw for Church and Arsenal, then the game will be over pretty much for Phantom Legion.
I'm still trying to do the word.
You'll probably find out once we cut and we get ready for game number 2.
Literally after
you'll
a second
be fuming.
game,
You'll be like, oh my god, it was that word!
I had it on the tip of my tongue 2 times during that period where I was talking. I was like, I had to stop to formulate it, and I couldn't get it. No, it's like it's the underdog story, right? Where the small dog tries to face off against the big one, but the big one's just underappreciated, doesn't respect them, right?
I always talk about that one.
They're not expected much. Underestimate. Oh my god! Underestimate! That's it, baby! Yeah! Underestimated them. I mean, that's really what it's turning out to be. They were really underestimating at this point in time. X13, I mean, it's their round to lose, right? That's what my conversation was when I was coming up a whole round ago. It's their game to lose at this point. They're in match point. They've got 1 round of wiggle room. As long as they don't underestimate their opponent, they have what it takes to finish this off strong. We could see this finished off here in the next 2.5 minutes, where we could see Phantom Legion surmount this potential comeback and bring us to overtime.
Yeah, right now X13, they really have not undermined Phantom Legion at all, nor underestimated them. They really want to win this, just cement themselves as the top dog currently and not really be pushed around anymore like a mutt. They want to just have this in the bag, get ready for their next kind of opponent and fight they have to bring themselves into, and just be happy about that and nothing more, nothing less. But they've lost a pretty substantial amount of HP. So has Phantom Legion, of course, and they'll still find that kill regardless, as now J-Slime is out of the picture, Bait finds that entry, and now that backwards map control is slowly beginning to be in the hands of Phantom Legion. They still have to, of course, get that construction wall opened up, that way they can start pushing themselves in towards Cash Room, and having that man advantage is great and all, but other than that platform wall and some construction, they don't have a lot of manpower or part of map control. However, they make up for it via that manpower that I mistaken instead for
it. Impact tricking will only work for so long here, John. And while they have 2 more to work with, in all honesty, that's not really going to be that much. This is the last exothermic charge pot. They're going to use both of their, one of their impacts to deal with it, but snows will be felt immediately afterwards from Dolly. A 2v5 does not bode well for X13. Make it a 1v5 as Chapo is now the last man standing. Buzz finds Dunny, and Buzz finds Chapo. A flawless victory for Phantom Legion. A handsome round for them. Maybe a bit of an underestimation right now. Maybe they said, hey, we've kind of beaten them dirty the last few rounds. Maybe we can kind of take it back a little bit. But no, Phantom Legion coming back right now. And X13, they kind of have to win this if they want to end this off in a quick fashion. Because I think Phantom Legion here, if it does go to overtime here, John, I think Phantom Legion will win it.
It could be a possibility. I still think Phantom Legion is an amazing team. Well, I mean, X13 is just, they've been a little bit more dominant, even though this has been a close game. It literally 1 round differential and 2 at most for the time being. That's the best we've seen so far. That threshold, nothing too overwhelming, I guess you could say. But I just think X13's kind of defensive game is just slightly better. Now, when they were defending this bomb site last, I really couldn't say that. They lost their deep roamer of Craze pretty much instantly, and then they weren't really able to stop that push coming up by Phantom Legion, so they ended up getting a round win already by having a great start and an even better finish, like I mentioned way in the beginning of the cast, except I think I was referring to X13 in that instance, but now the tables are slightly turning. I think we could see overtime, but I am still a little bit
seconds left before
uncertain as to who could really win that overtime situation if we get there.
5 seconds to insertion.
Oh, I feel like Phantom Legion right now, they managed to take this, and they put themselves in a position where they can probably play for, I guess, the snowball effect, right? They can kind of roll off with the rest of the match, kind of have something under their feet, feel a little bit of confidence, and that could be a pretty big estimation about what could happen. But I think at this point in time, with the fact that X13 are on match point, they kind of toss that last round up in the air pretty heavily as Phantom was able to take it in a flawless fashion. It's kind of hard to throw Phantom out and say that it's not a possibility, especially when that last round was a flawless victory. But already seeing this Eastern suburb kind of be cleared out. They know where at least an estimation of where these Mute Jammers go, but they don't know its exact position, and they're too scared to step into it until it gets pinged out and given away by that Gemini replicator. But the first kill will fall in favor of Phantom Legion. Tak finds Praise. Not too crazy about that opening pick, but already in a position where the defensive side of X13 can kind of sit still and play for their own playstyle, but PLG, that player of Tak, is already inside a CCTV and looking to deal some damage.
Yeah, I gotta admit, that was a beautiful shot by Tak, but he's not gonna find another beautiful one at that. It's only gonna be one kill for him as Snows will trade on out towards him. Things now completely squared up. X13, they're still able to control cash room for the time being, but it is only a matter of that time where they eventually get flushed out for multiple different avenues, and then they have to end up trying to either completely commit or end up just retreating deeper back towards the objective room. Buzz trying to find that first kind of pick in towards cash room, but won't be successful. That will allow J Slime to escape, but Dunny is in fact going to fully commit and stand his ground, trying to waste more time and hopefully end up finding some sort of pick to guarantee X13 that advantage. Frag grenade comes on out that will allow for the wall to be opened on up, but an impact trick comes out by Dunny, stalling even more time. Amazing work by the lone Melusi player so far, and it brings us down the last 50 seconds until he finally gets finished off by Buzz, not confirming the kill, but injuring him in the process, now allowing for that map control to be back in the favor of Phantom Legion with just barely enough time to try to get that execute down.
You've got to be able to get the execute down. You're falling into this last 40-second section. I mean, Phantom Legion, you've got to step forward. You've managed to take control of that cash room side, but in all honesty, you've still got a gauntlet, as you've been calling it so heavily and so accurately, so to say, that you've got to step through the gauntlet. A dangerous position. Plays do come through. Chapo finds as they swing around the corner. Dolly and Snows is able to take Boss as well. Mossberg is out, and Chapo does damage Giorno with it, but a 3v2 in play, and J-Slime is in a position to swing. Mossberg comes up, and Mossberg drops him down. Chapo wins that off, and X13 will win it off, and I believe, if I'm not incorrect here, John, that does guarantee X13 first place heading into this finals. Or the playoffs, I should say.
It does. My God, why is my camera so blurry? Oh, it's kind of fixed. Okay, yeah, I guess talk about it, and it ends up stopping. All right, cool. All right, whatever. But yeah,
Bad
X13
grades.
now top of the food chain now. They are, huh?
I said bad grades. You said talk about it and it stops happening, so I'm just really hoping.
Oh, yeah.
about my
That's
bad
true. God,
grades.
you really better hope for that, or you're not getting a degree, Scott.
Yeah, it's
And,
something else.
yeah, you may smile now, but you won't be smiling in a month or so.
C's get degrees. C's get degrees. Okay, like.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
We're working on it.
Couple more weeks, man. Couple more weeks. But like I said, X13 now top of the food chain, and I think that only leaves not even scraps for Phantom Legion. I think they're going hungry today. I don't think they're able to recover from this now.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think that Phantom Legion is kind of relegated out. I don't think they make playoffs with this loss. I could be incorrect about that, but I don't necessarily.
It'd be close.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But the next game that will come up will be coming up with you guys real shortly, so make sure to stay tuned. That'll get started at any moment. But my name's Infinosis, joined here by Fellow. We'll be right back. We're hoping you're all looking forward to the next one just as much as us.
Welcome back, everybody, to Upsurge League. My name is Phil. I'm also joined here by Scott. And we got the second matchup just underway, Prevail versus Depth. And I think both these teams are pretty close when it comes to score-wise. So it'll be neck and neck, and I think it'll be a very exciting match. Don't get me wrong, last game was as well, but at least we're getting that confirmed already up front pretty much, not even having to kind of speculate since it's been so long since we've commentated those past two teams of X13 and the Phantom Legion.
Yeah, big pieces of information to be had. Obviously, Phantom Legion, they're not out. They're not out at all. They, in fact, they're absolutely still in this one. And X13,
Still
they're
alive.
not first, right? They're second in the listings. I think that's what we were also told. A couple small things, and some more information were added in, and a couple things get piecemeal together. And there's also a bit of an upstanding problem with this one as well. Some like a round differential difference has to come through because head to head is matched evenly or something on the board. There's a lot of stuff going on here. We're coming down to the wire for all these teams. They're needing to do absolutely everything to stay in, and sometimes they feel comfortable in it, but they can be bracketed a little bit lower than they necessarily want to be. It could be a bit of a difficulty, but we'll talk first about the teams, and of course, we'll talk about the rosters as well. Now, this Prevail side, Frives, Maddie, Bix, Exist, and Glyph. And then, of course, for this Depth side, who is the old Nora Rowetta, we don't have to say that anymore, I guess, across the board. Rice, Pinroll, Spiker, Ian, and Esteem. So, obviously, a lot of good fragging potential, and hopefully we don't have to see this old Noro side. Is it something incorrect?
Oh.
Huh? All right,
All right,
we'll just continue
just
on.
kidding.
We'll get that information a little bit. But as you and I both know, as we did cast the Noah Retta game last week or the week prior, they were a pretty frag-centric style team. They have a very aggressive style. They slacked a little bit when it came to window repelling for Cafe, but they still did a very good job of getting the job done where they needed to. And I guess the question I have starting off this one is, are we going to Cafe? I sure hope not. I cannot stand Cafe.
I was very happy that we did not commentate over that first game, Clubhouse. One of my favorite maps just because you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And oh, thank God, Prevail, do we
ban.
ever love you. I'm totally not biased, but I have a hunch that I really want Prevail to win this game now because they might have banned Cafe. No, I'm
we didn't
only
even get to see
kidding.
it up there for very long. I mean, it is Clubhouse once again, so we do get to see that, but no Cafe. And I think that's the important part. Though I wish we could see Chalet. I wish we could see Chalet.
Yeah. I think our kind of casting really fits those aggressive maps like Chalet and like Coastline. You can scream your head off, and it's really fun. So that's pretty much it, though.
Just be really aggressive about it and really get into it.
Yeah.
I think that with these two teams, like we can really get into this one. These two teams, they got gunners, they got great play styles, and for a very standardized map, very old school map like Clubhouse, you can basically guarantee so much going on. Like the bans, once again, we'll get to do those pretty quickly, I guess. Habana, we saw previously. Thatcher, we saw the Mira get banned out, and we saw the Valkyrie. I'm predicting at least Valkyrie, Thatcher will be banned out guaranteed in this map. The question is Habana and Mira going to be banned out?
The Valkyrie, possibly, it does make gathering that intel a lot more difficult. And I think other than Mira, she is one of the, if not the most banned operator in the game for the defensive side. I can't quite recall if Mira overlaps her on that or not, but I swear I've been seeing much more Valkyrie bans nowadays than I have Mira, especially since last season, almost unheard of to have her banned, but she is one of the strongest intel gatherers in the game, so it does make sense. And it also makes sense to see Thatcher and Habana banned because they are also very influential on this map of Clubhouse. So pretty much the same thing as what we just saw last game, except just the opposite order. I believe Habana was on the chopping block first, but it doesn't really matter. They're both still banned, and I think we'll probably have a very similar lineup when it comes to bans, or the exact complete thing possibly, but Mira getting banned as well, that also makes sense.
Does make sense. And Mira going out, this is an exact lineup we've seen so far. This is last ban from Depth. We'll guarantee whether or not we see the exact same thing. If the Valkyrie does come through, then it will be a mirror match, and it will be a flip, like you talked about. It was, in fact, Habana that got banned first, then Thatcher, then it was Valkyrie, then Mira. And no, we're not going to see the Valkyrie come through. So, well, mine will be banned out instead. Those magnets not allowed to be seen today, and this seems to be mostly for defensive gym and bedroom. I want to see. It's pretty rare to see magnets when it comes to, I guess, non-roaming objectives. I mean, we did see a little bit of it prior. We have seen of it prior of a roaming player of a Wamai on second floor for CCTV and cash, but the utility that Wamai brings to the table is a little bit less of importance. It's more the ability to roam around and be that threat. But I think Malusi fills that role in essentially the same way. It's an interesting ban. I'm a little bit confused here, John, about it.
I mean, if you're a diehard fan of Capital, it makes some sense, and it also just removes a lot of utility possibilities for sure. I mean, yeah, it's not as strong of a ban as it used to be, but it does still have some valid points. It just definitely caught me off guard that we didn't see Valkyrie getting banned. I really thought we were going to see a mirror of what just happened, but I mean, it's not that big of a concern. What is a concern, though, is that we actually get to see this SSG roam come out. I'm really happy that, at least further down the road, we finally get to have it enacted via the hands of Depth this time. So this will waste a ton of time. It also comes at a great cost, so a lot of utility and manpower has to be put on this second and first floor. However, if done correctly, Prevail basically is down to the wire. They really don't have anything to work off of if this roam is done perfectly by Depth, which I'm assuming they will. Depth, very veteran team. I mean, they used to be Noro and before that even Ariel, so it wouldn't really shock me at all if they basically have this strategy down, basically textbook definition style of it. But I think Prevail found the perfect counter to it, just rushing the bomb site completely if they commit to that dirt tunnel push.
I think it's experience. I think that's the big thing. I was working with some other casters earlier today and doing some training and recording and working with them on vocabulary and whatnot. And one of the big things I talked about is when you describe a team and you're talking about, if a team is typically playing very well and knows some strategies, it really can just be the difference of experience, and calling that out and knowing the experience behind them is part of being a caster. And this Depth squad have a plethora of experiences below them. They are a very well fleshed out team. I think Prevail definitely has their work cut out for them, though they're really fleshed out themselves, but they don't seem to matter right now because Spiker gets a nitro from below into Maddie and really puts this round off to a rough start for them. They do lose that exothermic charge wielding Thermite, but they do still have the Maverick to be able to work out some of these holes with that blowtorch. But in all honesty, Depth, getting an early pick like that, still having an extra nitro cell in pocket, have not given up full control of dirt necessarily. They do have a player that can hold that doorway, and they have to give that audio cue of breaking that barricade. So they haven't given it up entirely. They have the ability to defend it. But I think Prevail might just rush in and kind of get into a more stable position behind Armory lockers and try to go for a plant.
Well, they don't really have all that many other options, so maybe we'll see someone try to go down in towards Secret just to try to, get a little bit of a double cross occurring. That might be the hand of Bricks. He's heading on down towards Oil Pit instead, the old-fashioned approach, and it works out quite well for him. He picks up a refrag onto Pin this time, and now Depth has to look two separate directions. They're in a cross peak, essentially, and that's not going to be as helpful for them moving forward in these last 50 seconds, where all that pressure will be applied via Prevail. They really want to get in control of this bomb site right now. It'll be a little more difficult, though. Rice picks up one. Luckily, though, Glipt and Fry are there to basically respond almost instantly to the trouble. Now in a 2-on-1, all in the hands of Dami, as Glimp does get that double kill for himself, but Dami not having control of the right bomb site. He's got to make things happen here. That revive coming out as well, and now in a full 1 versus 3. It's not the best position for him. He has to find the player inside of Electrical, lights him up almost if that boiler was in front of him, and it pays off for Fry perfectly. Ring around the rosy does Fry goes and causes Dami to fall off that carousel, and there we go. First round win favoring Prevail miraculously in the last couple moments of that round.
They were able to digest what was going on. Depth starting off in a pretty reasonable fashion. I like how they ended it, right? Or Prevail ended it. They may have had that weak start, losing a player from a nitro cell. Can be a little bit devastating, can be a moral deficit to your squad, but they didn't let it get down on them. And now they went down on Depth. They completely rushed into the basement. They found their picks. They were able to keep and clean up that round, and Depth were just kind of stuck swimming with the fishes. And while it seems to be both these squads are ocean-oriented, so expect plenty of jokes like that, but now we're going to be heading over to that gym and bedroom side. So we'll see which one of these fishes gets the most gains. And at the end of this, we could see it be a 2-0 start for Prevail, or we could see Depth managing to tie it back up in round 2, which may be, in my opinion, at least when it comes to Clubhouse, which may be a kind of influential round, an important round, because it kind of does set a tempo, sets a pace, sets a precedent for how the rest of this match is going to go, because CCTV and Cash doesn't really matter when Prevail can just take 2-round wins back-to-back on the attack, because then Depth are forced to play CCTV next because they failed on these last 2. Even if they win it, they have to go to the objectives that Prevail's already won, so it puts them in a better position and doesn't really bode well. Depth, I think this is kind of a make-it-or-break-it moment for them.
If they end up losing this bomb site, then it could be a 3-0 start for them, perhaps, if Prevail really plays their cards right, because, like you said, Cash and CCTV is just, it's so difficult to defend nowadays because you can't normally ban Thatcher and also Maverick because Habana takes one of those 2 places, so you either have to deal with a Thatcher and attempt to try to get that bandit tricking down, but even then, if there's no Omai on the board, like in this instance, then you got to worry about Capitals and also possibly just a metric ton of fragmentation grenades. It's so difficult to bandit trick even when it is an option, but when Maverick's on the board, it's not an option at all. Don't even try it because you'll just get your feet shredded apart via that M4, so you kind of have to allow Prevail to get these main walls opened up. There isn't much you can do except try to waste their time and stall them for a little bit, but that's really it. Doesn't matter. Eventually that hard destruction comes into play, and already we're going to have Maddie get that exothermic charge off on the main wall and start things off at a decent pace for Prevail, but when it comes to also trying to work their way around in charge construction, they're going to have to pick that pace up just a little bit more than anticipated, most likely.
This is the spot where Prevail banning out Mira is really influential, really impactful for them, because you don't have to worry about that Mira window inside of that bathroom wall connecting over towards Jacuzzi. It gives you a safety net. It forces the defensive players of Depth sitting there with that Mossberg in hand to kind of have to wait for you to step around the corner instead, and it allows for you to, I guess the way I want to phrase it, allows for you to step inwards and have a safety net behind that own reinforced wall that the opposing players are also hiding behind themselves. But obviously the Banshees placed inside of this hallway on the 2nd floor make it difficult. Zombie's holding a position and lodging towards doorway, maybe hoping to catch Exist off guard and get that pick, but it'll be Bix who finds the opening pick instead. Rice is taken out for the count. Pin's taking a lot of damage as well, and will take enough damage from Maddie, who's able to clean up and finish it off in the end. Maddie will also begin the plant. Exists in a firefight from Dami. Dami narrowly missing the opportunity for the kill, but Glyph fragged out from Spiker. Bix back into the refrag. Fry finding Dami, and Maddie was able to clean it up where necessary. A plant and the kills on top of it. Nothing that they could do about it. Yet another attacking round victory.
Prevail again, just asserting their dominance over Depth, and now things are going to get really rough for Depth because, I mean, they could go CCTV and Cash, try something new, but I think the much smarter idea is probably just going Church, and that's what they'll do. They'll run a different setup now, but Prevail, they had such a masterful take when it came to attacking Depth on that first round. Yeah, they lost that entry kill via that nitro cell, but they were able to make up for it, getting that control in towards Oil Pit and then in towards Electrical in that secret area, which made up for it perfectly. And then they had this double crossfire set up. Death was just all over the place. They were like chickens with their heads cut off, and they really couldn't do anything because they were just in a do or die situation, and they, like I said, weren't really able to do anything anymore. But they are running a slightly different setup now, much more anchor, kind of rooted, I suppose. They don't have anything really for that extension. They do still have some information to gather up above, like Spiker via the Valkyrie pick, and they also could have a roamer still. Perhaps maybe Breeze will fill in that role, or maybe Spiker himself, but I feel like it'd be a better idea just to have him underneath so he can have that C4, but the same thing, of course, can be said for Malusi with those impact grenades, trying to stall for those exothermic charges as well. It's all kind of up for debate, I suppose.
Interesting decision here. John, you and I are of the same opinion. Anyone that's ever listened to us, we say it basically every game. We didn't say it last game, but playing the same objective twice is inherently incorrect. It's an inherent flaw. You're breeding a level of complacency that doesn't belong in the game. Seeing Depth not do that is nice to see, but seeing them on a map that has 3 objectives that are all, I would argue, around the same level of competency around them, all the same level of viability, I guess is the term I want to say. I mean, seeing them go back to this basement in attempts to defend this, even after Prevail managed to surmount that almost near insurrectable comeback, they still were able to do so. I would be very wary about this. I would rather touch that CCTV and cache, and it's an interesting statement because just last game here, John, I complained about that objective, that it's becoming more and more attacker favored, but right now, honestly, it's a change of pace that Depth kind of need. Maybe they need to play the aggressive style in return. We did see Depth going for that player sitting on central stairs, hoping to catch, I believe it was Exist, as they stepped out of that billiards room, but it doesn't seem to work. Dami in a position towards Secret. Drones do come through, catch the information out, and Dami will have to step back towards utility, maybe hide behind in blue, but I think that's exactly what we will see happening. A Nitro will be detonated, coming from the pockets of Spiker. This one does damage Bix, but it is not enough to kill. No replication of round 1.
Half of the action phase already gone now. Minute 30 left on the board. Prevail now starting to get that vertical play down. Buck, or Bix I should say, on the Buck in a great position right now, just really cutting open these sight lines, getting that bird's eye view. That way you can try to make something happen via an entry, and Maddie will attempt the same thing, a different approach though. He hops down in towards Moto and almost peeks Rice, but he knows better. He has to do his hard destruction job first and foremost, and then he can get aggro with that 5.56 in hand, I suppose. So he's saving that for the very end of the round. There's still about a minute left, and not a single kill has come out. Plenty of intel still being gathered, though. Soft pings come out on towards Exist, but no one really there to mark it off it. They're just anticipating another player to start pushing in towards that back area inside. And Spiker, wide swings on out, picks up 2 impactful frags. There goes your player on the top of main, making a 3K for him. Oh my goodness, Spiker, no way! A 4K for him. So Jami denies it, but what did we just witness, Scott?
Absolute domination. Spiker puts a spike through the heart of the opposition. Just completely a reversal sweep from what we initially had anticipated. They were able to bring it back, and Spiker, who has 6 kills for their side. Literally, you can add up everyone else on the side of Depth, and they wouldn't even have half of the kills that Spiker now has. They needed 4 just from him to get anywhere close to winning that round, and that's exactly what just happened. It is not looking good for Depth otherwise. A lot of goose eggs across the board. It's not looking so hot, but Prevail looked exceptionally dirty in that last one, getting absolutely stomped on, kicked into the dirt, and Spiker just rubbing salt into the wound. It could have been the ace, but they did not leave the player towards Secret uncontested, finished them off, and made sure the job was done. Did not greed for that coveted 5th kill, but that is the second one back-to-back here, John, that we have gotten the pleasure to watch. We saw one last game from a 4K, and we got to see one here now. This is a back-and-forth action here for Clubhouse specifically, but the question here remains, is this going to be as close of a game as the last one was, or will we see one side just inevitably take off and start to snowball?
It's a little bit too early to figure that one out. I don't think we're going to see any very substantial snowballs just yet, and maybe Dep just needs to play a little bit more conservatively, perhaps. The one round where they actually anchored and didn't really overextend all that much, it paid for them quite well in terms of that round win, because the SSG roam round number 1 it fell apart. It just collapsed on them, and they weren't anticipating that. But now they aren't really roaming all that much, except for Spiker, who is just... he's feeling himself right now. I'm even trying to gasp for air right now just because of that last round. I hyped it up so much. Spiker just really put on a performance there, a display of true marksmanship, and I really hope he can continue that. Dami won't be, though, because Glip just finds an entry on him right off the bat. Very important operator as well for that end game, and now it'll mostly be up to Pin or possibly some C4s coming out via Spiker to try and deny that plant later on in the round, but that's more or less a lot more theory-based stuff, because we still have about a minute or so left in this action phase before we get into that execute.
You have to be a little bit wary about how you want to go about your execute, and we've seen Prevail do a really good job of that so far, but As of the current moment, Depth are still looking for those impactful Nitro Cell kills. You do see a player down below just holding it in hand, hoping for it. And when that first pick has already come through and Dami has already greeted to an early grave, Prevail have done another good job of clearing out the floors, and you can hear another explosive device, an explosive ordnance go off. Spiker now has no Nitro Cell available to them. They only have impacts in pocket. That's going to be Breeze, so if Breeze does play below, maybe he goes for a double impact to deny plant, but it looks to be that Prevail is going to try and enter in from the construction side instead. So all players sitting inside of Cash Room, stay wary because Prevail is looking to come out on top in this one. So much utility, so much player-heavy emphasis right now from Depth when it comes to the garage side. You could see the player at Breeze holding in from below, watching towards that small break room towards stock as well, watching hallway, ready to step out and go for the impacts, deny plant if they were to go to CCTV. But like I stated, it does not look to be that that's going to be what happens, and it doesn't look to be that Depth is going to be what happens, because Spiker now downed on Staircase. Manny's looking to clean up. Does finally notice they're completely taken off the board. Exist steps inside a Cash. Glyph finds Pin, and it's a 5v2. A runaround must come through at any point in time. Breeze steps up, sees the head, but cannot get a shot off. And Exist tries to find the last one too, but Glyph will get it instead. And Prevail with a flawless round will just make this one even more pretty.
I mean, the clap back came in through Prevail, winning that one out flawlessly. Great work by them, and they've won 3 rounds on the attack. They are almost unstoppable. The only thing they got to worry about really is just Spiker at the moment. That was the only thing stopping them from winning 4 rounds in a row pretty much, but it's not that big of a concern. Depth really behind right now, and they've got to go from that jog to a walk more and towards a sprint. They really got to finish this first half at least 50-50, not giving Prevail any advantage nor disadvantage, and then just trying to be more assertive when it comes to those attacking rounds and just trying to just outdo everything that Prevail has already done, because they've had their aggressive starts. They've been getting these entries on such important players like Dami on the Maestro. I mean, his value rate just skyrockets. It goes through the roof, to the moon, if you're into that kind of stock market term reference there. Once you go down those last 30 seconds, give or take, because he can just evil eye zap people at any given time and completely deny a plant or execute, give or take, whatever he does or whatever he pleases to do, pretty much.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing right now from Prevail. John, I think you're here with me. We're seeing a bit of a lackluster performance from a couple of the players here on Depth. I mean, Penn and Breeze, who have 0 kills to their name, it's really unfortunate because I know for a fact these players are better than that. Rice and Dami, who only have 1 to their name. I mean,
yeah,
this
Dami's
is not,
nuts.
This
He's
is
not.
not. Yeah, I mean, this is not what we were anticipating, especially for a side that we've seen so much of recently and seen so much of in the past, not just as they were no Loretta, but also as their old squad of Aerial Rise. We've seen so much from them, and Prevail is just kind of dogging on them, I guess. I mean, it's not even like your entry fraggers that are doing so. I know Glyph has 5, but Exist only has 1 kill. And it's just that the rest of the team is picking up where they need to. Maddie, with being a hard breacher, and Fry as well, they each have 3 kills. They're finding success. They're doing what they need to do, and it's really forcing Depth off guard. And take a look at this position they're playing for. Jacuzzi side entrance, sprays through wall. Both sides attempting to catch 1 player off guard. Neither side connecting, but Depth, they're continuing to place players down onto this first floor with a Nitro Cell possibility, but Prevail are slow walking on the floor to make no noise, and when they do run, they make sure they run quite quickly and pretty far away to guarantee no chance of a Nitro from below.
They're being very methodical about their approach. I like that. Prevail is really, they don't want to sacrifice too much, but Fry off the board, that is a very big concern, but at least the wall is now soft, so Zofia Glyph can now do his job and try to gather as many sightlines as possible for Prevail when they try to actually move on in through and get that double kind of sightline moving forward from both construction and also now that platform wall as well. It's not the worst, but they've got to find some type of refrag very quickly. Dami almost being that refrag, but luckily that won't in fact happen. Spiker in fact gets one on the Bix, and Dami's trying to look for a second kill on the matchup as he's lining up the shot in towards Exist through construction, but not able to fully peek out just yet, not getting too aggressive for himself. Depp doesn't want to throw anything away because they know they have to start picking up the pace, and Rice is in fact adding up the speedometer here. Now 5-on-2. Things all of a sudden not looking that well for Prevail. They've only got about 50 seconds left, and they really got to make lemons out of lemonade right now, Scott. But Exist! Beautiful shot on Adami, but the C4 by Spiker finally rears its ugly head, and now Glyph is just in a 1 versus 4, 40 seconds left. Almost impossible, but Glyph might have a small chance if he can make something magical happen.
Hey, there's a good possibility Nitrocell is tossed out. This one was the last of depths in their pockets. It's not going to amount to much, and the Toxic Babe is just lingering in the air, and there's another one in pocket ready to be used. Runout comes through onto the southern subroof, does not find success. Pin is using those bullet holes while they're still available, as we do know those are actually been leaked to, you know, have a little bit of a rework to them, but Depth will win the round as Spiker does find the kill. I don't know if you actually know about that, John. Did you see that on a...
Oh my god, I saw that. I was so happy.
Bullet holes no longer will make holes. I mean, that is insane. That's going to change up collegiate scene specifically, because you play collegiate and you see collegiate and you see these like individual players that are really driving the team's momentum. They abuse the ever-loving tar out of those bullet hole peaks. You know, we've seen it a ton, especially in collegiate scenes back when Theme Park was a thing, where players would lie down and just play a bullet hole peak. That's no longer an option. You have to at least go for a melee hole if you want to make that hole.
Thank God. Yeah, I was really getting tired of that. Just that malarkey, that just horrible stuff, man. Bullet holes are just, they're devastating. They really do not, they're just not fair. They literally are not fair at all whatsoever. I mean, you're looking for a minor difference in just a gigantic wall or anything, and you're expecting to win that fight? No, absolutely not. And the guy has just a better view on you. It really is literally a one-sided kind of window approach. So it's just, I hate it. I'm glad they're gone. End of story. And I bet a lot of people on the upper echelon of playing this game, and even the lower areas like T4, like Collegiate, I bet everyone across the board is happy, even the people that abuse it, because you know what? At least now they don't have to worry about it either.
There's a lot of worries to be had, and as of this current time, Prevail, they're up 1. Spiker in the Depth squad in general can kind of make it a little bit more difficult, so to say, but honestly...
Oh my god.
Oh, I just said they could make it difficult, and then they do just that. Spiker goes for one of the dirtiest run-out spawn peaks, catching them as they attempted to step towards tunnel. I mean, that is nasty by all accounts, and now Exist is just kind of left wondering what they got to do. You can see this Depth squad kind of just like happy with what's going on, and Prevail just kind of have to play a little bit even slower because they don't have exothermic charges. The only way they can hard reach up is going to be the blowtorch in the hands of Fry, and that means Fry is going to have to be running around the map like a madman to figure out what exactly they need to do. And I mean, by all accounts, Depth, they kind of have to win this. They have to win or they have to lose in an overtime 8-7 if they want to make playoffs, and they're pulling out everything to make sure they can do just that.
A kill like that, start things off for your last defensive round. I mean, absolutely just brilliant run out by Spiker, using everything to his advantage, and now Prevail, they are just shaking in their boots. They've wasted a minute now and haven't really gotten anything in return of it. They're trying to clear out these non-existent roamers near bar and pool table, also strip club. It's a mess right now for Prevail. There's still plenty of time, though, for them to change that, of course, but that's not going to be the exact same statement being said by me when we turn down about another half a minute or so. They're down to about 50-40 seconds, give or take, and then they're like, oh dear God, we don't have man advantage. We don't have really much working for us. We all got to just funnel down in through that kitchen hatch. I pray to God that's not the outcome, but right now, Scott, that's looking what it's most likely going to end up being.
Yeah, very difficult position to be in. Prevail they want to put themselves in a position to go 4-2 into their defensive half. I mean, that will probably just be a final nail for Depth. Make it pretty much near insurmountable odds to face off against them. But as of the current moment, they're still trying to gather information. They don't want to fall victim to that last 30-second meta. Going in and playing the 30-second meta is not that bad, but doing the last 30 seconds can be very dangerous. And We can already see Fry nearing the last of that gas canister, and that Valkyrie cam with so much information behind it. Depth have really brought everything out to the table right now, and Spiker on that Valk is just continuing to gather all of what they can, and it's going to be so difficult for Prevail to come out on top. Spiker finds yet another, their second kill for this round. Fry taking an L, Rice finds Exist. Spiker now downed in a firefight elsewhere, but a bad position still nonetheless. Rice takes Glyph. Dami finds Bix, but it's not going to be enough because Bix is felled by finds and fells Dami. It will be that 3 at the half, but ultimately an attacking side that wins 3, heading to defense. I mean, John, we know the story.
It was a lot better for X13, most certainly. I feel like Depth only really started showing their true colors when Spiker he stepped up to the plate and he did what he needed to do as that kind of roam player and just overall kill finder. I mean, the man's 11-3. He's popping off, to say the least, Scott. But
He's gaming.
He is truly gaming, but I can't really say the same thing for some of his teammates on the side of Depth. I think I saw 2 donuts in 7 rounds, well, technically 6. The 7th one hasn't started yet, so I'll cut them some slack on that part. But that's not a good statistic. Even when you're that supportive player and you have someone like Spiker who can fill that kind of kill area, what if he didn't need to? What if Pin and also Breeze kind of did their part on the kill department as well? Maybe it would be, I don't know, 4-2 favoring them. Maybe they would be in a much better position now moving on the attacking side. And simply put it, Scott, you can't always rely on one just star player to do everything for your team in a team-based game like Rainbow Six. It's not possible. This isn't Call of Duty.
I mean, like, what if Pin and Breeze got kills? Unless.
Imagine. I'm just kidding. Unless.
Just kidding. Unless. I mean, the unless has really just been Prevail that's just been fragging them out every single time. But in all honesty, for the fact that they've lost 3 rounds, right? And not gotten any kills, they only have 3 deaths. Like, each. They only have 3 deaths each. So it's interesting to see that the rounds they win, they're still alive. They're still coming out at least somewhat on top, but they're just not finding any kills. They're not finding success individually. It's more of a broader spectrum of their team that's able to capitalize on small mistakes and really just let Spiker capitalize on anything, I guess. Spawning, I guess that was the notion of last round. He capitalizes on the enemy team actually trying to play the game. And so they were able to pick themselves up off the ground and come into a 3-3 route. But spawn peeking is not an option here on your attacking side. You can spray through windows, but if Prevail just says, okay, like, we just won't peek a window, then what are you going to do? Spiker doesn't have that option this time around to just find that early on pick, and it's going to be even more difficult for Spiker to backpack his team into a round victory.
Most certainly, especially when you're on the worst half of Clubhouse. It's going to be so much more difficult because Prevail can just put themselves in really annoying corners and off angles, and then that's not going to favor Spiker. Even when he has an M4, which is a pretty formidable weapon, it's still going to be a rough ride, most certainly, for Depth. So they've got to start putting in even more elbow grease. They put it in a high gear those last couple of rounds, don't get me wrong, but they've got to go above and beyond. They can't dive down deep. They've got to just keep ascending and ascending and ascending no matter what. But a minute left on the clock, give or so. 5-on-5. This is frightening, Scott. I am super concerned about Depth unless they just explode in just a series of kills left, right, and center and get that map control, because other than construction, they don't have much going for them.
They need that flurry, John, and they need it quickly. This is a bad time for them because I'm sorry to break it to them. It is summer now. It is not really a time to get that flurry, that winter storm. It does not necessarily bode well, but smoke canisters being dipped out inside of Cash Room, now being able to bust out that wall. There's really no way to contest it as nades will be tossed as well, but Glyph is able to get a little bit off of it and detonate an actual cell. So now Depth have kind of lost a bit of a position as they have to find a new way to step forward, probably clear out the ADSs once again, as those may have gotten enough time to actually reset. But They're still worried about a run out from garage side, and with no one having been killed off just yet from either side, we're at 15 seconds left. Nade's being tossed out. Breeze is taking damage from a teammate's nade. Glyph finds the first pick finally in the last 13 seconds at a Spiker. A second from Maddie and Adami. Rice finds picks as Breeze takes out from Red Stairs. Glyph sprays as he turns the corner back into Fry, but it's a 1v3. Pin has started to get the plant down. Time not on their side, and it's not gonna matter. Finished off in depth in a miraculous recovery. Will manage to win it off. It had all gone down in the last 15 seconds, but depth, they know what it is. They're used to the deep, and they're going to let it go down.
Yeah, prove me wrong, I guess. All right, Depp. Yeah.
All right, we'll just leave. We'll just leave. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'll just won't cast. That's probably for the best anyways. It's probably a good idea.
I would offer to let Chief come in here and cast, but I don't think anyone wants that either.
I think that's actually, never mind. You found something worse. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Chief's still got better color than me. That's something I cannot deny. Most certainly so. Hey, once they find out about this, I think he might have something to say about me. He'll probably have to write via letter, though. I don't know if they allow cell phones to try him at home.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what type of technology they allow there.
I got no clue, man. I'm not old. I'm a freaking zoomer. I just zoom around and say stuff comes out of my mouth, and sometimes it's wrong. Mostly it's wrong, actually. I'll be upfront about that. But
at least you can say it with your real teeth and not dentures, right? I mean, like,
true, very true. And I was kind of true though, just not getting the entire picture across. I guess Depp did do somewhat of what I expected. Breeze stepped up there, 2 kills. And Pin, not so much, but then again, on a supportive role, a little bit more difficult. Still, a much better performance by Depth.
Yeah, them being able to pull that round out was kind of shocking to me. Even as it was going down, we saw that first pick come through. I was like, hey, that's putting them in a position of dominance, right? And then it was blue and then orange and blue and then orange, and things were just kind of falling apart for Prevail. They kind of failed to do what their name said. They didn't prevail. They didn't come out on top, and it's a little sad to see after all that went down. And you know what's also really sad to see, and I'm always permanently reminded of it every time Castle is played now, the Super Shorty not in the pocket of Mozzie anymore. So please, everybody, please send your daily email. Don't ever forget to send your daily email to Ubisoft support begging them to bring back the Super Shorty on Mozzie. It's not the same game without it. It's not the same thing. It doesn't work that way. Please bring it back.
Go cry some more, Scott. That's all I got to say to you.
I will go cry some more. I will.
Good. Good. I can't wait to hear that later when we're hanging out some more after this. I cannot wait for just the tidal wave of tears coming out from you. That'll be the highlight of my day.
That's another ocean themed thing, and you've got 2.
I know. You warned us about this. You warned us about this, and yet here we are now. Look at us. Look at us go. Aren't we something special, Scott?
Oh, this is bad.
Oh yeah. It's just degrading the further we go on through. But Depth isn't really degrading all that much. They're getting things done pretty effectively so far. They're trying to make something happen towards the Moto area on that hatch. Maverick's starting to use his blowtorch pretty well. And that Electric Claw isn't really going to deny much other than Pin getting it opened up. But hey, that's where Spiker comes into play. He'll use his gadget perhaps. Flip can try to find some type of pixel angle, but he's just not able to connect those shots as Spiker isn't really giving him that kind of courtesy kill. So keeping things at 5-on-5, heading in, minute 20 on the clock. In Depth, they're going to start getting low on time, but as long as they win their gunfights, they shouldn't have a problem, because last time we were in a very similar situation towards this, a minute left on the clock, still at 5-on-5, and all of a sudden, Depp just started popping off, winning all their 1v1s, and Prevail just was not able to recover quick enough.
And I think one of the things we've been really noticing is just how well Depth is able to work into those last few seconds, how quickly they can make themselves and make their presence be known, and just how effective that really is. But Rise is going to take the butt into the damage. They run a firefight with Glyph from Secret all the way over towards Utility of Blue. They kind of get into a firefight, doesn't work out. Nade tossed and Exist will do no longer that. Spiker finds the kill, now bringing them up to 13. And we do finally see Breeze has managed to find 2, just also point that one out. Now maybe Pin can find one here in this round as well. But a 4v5, 30 seconds left. Not the last 15, but it still does get the job done. He's going to drop a couple more nades down below, clear out a couple more positions of maybe being able to find some extra damage and some extra support as Rice steps in from Oil Pit, maybe hoping to catch player off guard. Does just that. Fry is out for dry. A 3v5 in play. Make it a 2v4 as Bix and Spiker find their own. Glyph and Rice are befelled. Maddie finds two in the same spray and a Dalian pin. It's not over just yet. A one-player down. Spiker is the last man standing, and he can't get it done. Not enough time, and Prevail will do just that.
Masterful clutch by Maddie, not overextending in the 1v1 either. Oh my god, what a comeback by Prevail. Depth, again, almost having that win in the last couple of seconds of the round. They were starting to pick up that pace. They were rearing their ugly head, and Prevail almost wasn't able to come back, but luckily Maddie just mowing the lawn up against Depth right now through that hallway with the kill hold near Kool-Aid Wall. I mean, my god, man, that was too close for comfort, but it ended up not becoming that. It ended up becoming really just out of nowhere a complete win, because now he's got to go for the kill because Carrier's stuck in the hallway. Oh my, I'm wrapping my head around it still and can't quite finish the line. Like, wow. Just wow. That's the best way to describe that round. It's just wow. Just wow.
I just gave the compliment to Depth that they did a great job of really making their presence known and really pushing and pursuing that last few seconds of a round. And they did that. They did a really good job of it in that round as well. But the fact that they were able to hold pretty and sit in a position where they could find success. Maddie did a great job of finding the 2 kills sprayed through the wall, made it so that Depth are kind of in a position where they have to pursue the kill instead, and there's just no chance otherwise to do anything but. It's interesting to I guess, digest what exactly went wrong, but I want to point out interesting Kaid Electroclaw placements to come through. They're really focusing more specifically on getting this eastern subroof wall, that the hard CCTV wall, reinforced and shocked instead. One below, I believe inside of the garage. We had seen that one tossed, and I believe another one is tossed on the inside of red towards the opposing side. This is to just ensure that even when information is gathered, it is far enough away and more difficult enough to not see that it's just a complete problem for Depth to try and face off against. Prevailer putting out all stops here to try and make it nigh impossible for Depth to, I guess, even step in from this wall besides having to Maverick check it out.
The fact that it is going to come down to Spiker, though, he's still going to probably lose a fair amount of HP because Electroclaw, it's going to electrify you. Ow, zap, zap, doesn't feel good, and now you're a little bit worse for wear. But if Spiker can get his job done effectively, it probably won't be that big of a concern. And now maybe Pin can just kind of save his exothermic charges for later. Maybe when it comes to that construction-sided push, that Depth, I believe, did attempt earlier on, or at least one of these two teams have done. It is the default strategy, after all. It can make things a little bit easier in that department, and at least he'll have his 2 exothermic charges when it comes to that. So in case an impact trick occurs via Exist, possibly, then at least he has a backup plan via just another thermite charge.
Worrying about utility is kind of like the biggest point right now, because obviously these teams have, at least in this half, have done a really good job of not dying until the last minute usually. It could change at any point in time as it is a new round, but it's been so different, so such an underutilization, I guess, to say, of an underutilization of the guns, I guess is the way to phrase it. They're using utility. You can hear all of this going off. They're doing a great job of finding a consistent usage and keeping and making sure that there's a large level of presence for having to counter, playing that mind game. Also a high level presence of nades as Exist is going to take an L as they attempted to get that impact off, and I do believe they did just that, but a second nade from Spiker will collect the kill. Fry refrags back into Rice. A 4v4 in play. Dami's going to toss a nade from this outside central suburb, the southern suburbs, and unfortunately an ADS will gobble it up before they can do anything further. Maddie misses a nitro cell toss. It sticks to that soft wall, and instead of being able to get a nice pick off of it, they're going to get Jack Squat instead. Attempting now to burn out an Evil Eye. They will do just that with an 8 toss through that outside construction door. Glyph is still holding strong in this red staircase with only 20 seconds left here, John. Depth have to push forward and Prevail sitting in a nice spot no longer. Breeze finds Bix. A Claymore catches off the greedy fry from Rice. Maddie does find one into Spiker. Top fragger out for the count, but Pin is putting down that diffuser. Nitro Cell toss.
C4
finds one, and now a 2v2. Maddie's able to save this one ever closer. A plant comes once again from Breeze. Glyph goes for the rush. They're going to be able to get that one player down as Dami collects and cleans the kill. It's just Maddie now in a 1v2. 40 seconds on the clock. Finds one outside window into Breeze. Phenomenal position. Now has to find one more. Is in a bad spot as they're trapped outside for half a second. Dami sitting all the way in the backside of bedroom as Maddie will begin to defuse. Baits it out for half a second. He'll have to rush around the corner. Doesn't exactly know the position, but he hears Dami's run up as he now sits in corner pocket as well. Runs around the corner, and Dami will find the kill. Depth take round 9.
A 1v1 narrowly lost, but it still comes out favoring Depth. They'll take that round with their cold-blooded hands. My goodness, Depth barely keeping themselves alive. They'll keep that round advantage now, and that's gotta burn for Prevail. They almost had that one secured, but just the fact that they couldn't deal with both the Thermite and Maverick really outdid them in the end. It just was not enough simply to put it there, Scott. But they'll still have some time to think about it, of course. This is only a one-round differential, oddly enough, just like we saw last game. However, Depth is in that favoring side on the attack, unlike last time where X13 were almost mopping the floor at one point against Phantom Legion, even though the round differential really did say otherwise. It just personally felt like it.
I question right now here where Depth has kind of made this massive set selection of plays where Prevail's only round win is in a round where Maddie almost threw it away, right? Where they peeked it out around that corner on basement and Spiker was almost able to find the kill because of it. It's interesting to me that Depth is just completely thrashing attack. And when I think about the fact that it's Old Area Rise, I kind of have a little bit of an understanding about it. But at the same time, they're not aggro or New Mystic, right? They're not that same squad of what you would expect, just basically Call of Duty running in and getting the kills. But Depth is playing a level of strategy behind it with gunplay to follow suit. The issue is it's two players that have the guns. Pin is just showing up at utility, and they're doing a great job of that utility. Not to can just only dog on Pin's big fat goose egg 0, not a nilch, nothing that they have in terms of their kill stat line. But their utility usage is phenomenal. They're doing a great job of getting those exothermics off. They're using smoke grenades correctly. We have seen that previously from construction leading into cash. They're doing a great job of managing utility all across the team. It's just they're having to rely so heavily on Spiker and Rice. It's honestly difficult to say that this is a win that even if Depths take it, it's a handy victory, a handsome victory. Instead, it's just going to feel like Depth got lucky that Spiker, I guess, got a new mouse, got a new headset, got a new gaming chair. Like, that's kind of what it feels like instead. But if I see a couple more players from this Depth side kind of pop off, Pins gets a couple, Breeze and Dami get a couple more kills, then I'm definitely going to say Depths deserve this through and through. But when Spiker's dropping 16 and your closest is 9, it's kind of hard to warrant that Depth have earned it all across the board and are really just praying.
It is kind of rough that maybe if not for Spiker showing up, this could be a completely different storyline with Prevail just kind of time in and time through just deleting Depth every single round. And luckily, that was only a hologram. That won't be an entry kill almost immediately, but still, vital intel being gathered nonetheless. We're moving down to, again, that last minute where Depth just comes alive all of a sudden and really just sweeps Prevail off of their feet and just right into Depth's unloving arms and just beats them to a pulp, apparently, because in these last-ditch attempts by Depth, they really just come in through and just demolish Prevail. They really don't seem like they're comfortable whatsoever in these kind of positions, but they do have one player of Maxi underneath. That could possibly change things up, or Maddie, my mistake. I don't know why I thought it was an X. Max, not Max D, it is Maddie, of course. He is underneath. That could maybe be used to try and deny that plant, which is a very pivotal turning point in Depth's attack. And when we're coming down to those last 40 seconds, the plant is almost going to be needed to go down, even if you can outgun most of your opponents, which still, that frag hasn't come out. We're in 30 seconds, Scott. Things still not looking all that good at the current moment. Depp tries to find that entry. Rice finally does the trick, and only 20 seconds left. There goes the flurry of kills. Spiker with a grenade on it exists. His kill won't really matter all that much. It's now all up to Bix and Maddie in a 2-on-4. The flank from behind, though. Maddie popping off right now. He picks up a 2K, and now things are evened on up. Carrier not in the hands of Depp any longer. Dami in a 1v2, and he loses the fight. Maddie takes it, and Prevail will stay alive on the gym and bedroom bomb site.
I swear to God, I just heard a frost mat. I just heard the frost mat, John. Did you hear that while you were going off right there?
Oh my, no, I was in the heat of the moment, man. I was seeing kills come out. My Ooga Booga brain was just like, play by play around, play by play around.
Wait, talk fast, go, action.
Talk fast. I didn't hear the bear trap snap.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
No,
That's
I'm
how he
pretty sure
got
as they stepped through.
Oh
Yes,
my
the opposing player,
God.
Maddie, cleaned up, and Bix got the kill with the frost mats. Oh my goodness. I mean, Bix cleaned it up with his gun. He finished off the kill before it came down to it, but it still was the frost mat that downed. This is every single thing we've been hoping for. I wanted it to be an even back and forth game, and right now it's being everything but in just miracle plays round after round. I think in gaming term, we call it bangers. And as a collegiate, football fan that roots for Auburn, right? I mean, I'm used to just miracles after miracles after miracles, because that's the only way we can ever win games. I'm sorry to break it to all Auburn fans, we kind of stink. But at the same time, it's strange to not even root for either teams, to see this in a very neutral standpoint, and it's miracle after miracle. I can't decide which team I want to root for, because I don't know who is going to get the next miracle.
I mean, Spiker, Rice, Maddie now as well, joining that over 10 or that 10K above club. Why was that so hard to say, John? You do this for a hobby. Come on, man. You got to get better than that. It's just all these outstanding plays coming on out, Scott. I mean, you and I both have really been hammering that home, and still seeing players that are on the opposite spectrum for that. It's a little bit concerning. Again, those miracle plays really just the only thing driving these round win homes, apparently, and I feel like Prevail could have had a much easier time on these defensive holds, simply because of just the time deficit Depth keeps putting themselves into. They get aggressive at the end of the round, but that's it. They have a really slow start, and it doesn't need to be that slow, especially since Prevail is having a very anchor-based setup. There's no one on an extensive roam all the way up top. Even the middle floors for the taking. Depth needs to utilize this and just then convert that into like a 1:30 or so kind of execute into the bomb site. That could really bring them head over heels up against Prevail.
John, we talked about it in game one. We talked about roaming kind of can make or break a team, especially in T3 and T4, right? It's my favorite style of play, and we got to see quite a lot of successful roam in the last game, but we're not seeing roam right now in general for Prevail on this hold, which is interesting sightline. We've seen such a level of success prior that I want to see that success here, but we're just not seeing it. Do you think maybe that's why Prevail has been struggling?
Maybe. It's just, I feel like Depp just has slightly better gunners, so I think that's the dumbed down answer, but they can still have their miracle moments. It isn't always going to be just Depp kind of just bulldozing their opponent right now, because it is evened up 5-5, of course, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I figured we'd be in for a very close and tight game, especially when I saw that Clubhouse is on the board again. I mean, my God, that's probably one of the most evened up maps nowadays. It's just, I don't know. It's odd how we've gotten to this story. It's like Romeo and Juliet, where it's, you know how the story ends, but you want to know how you get there. You want to know the middle part, kind of the meat of the sandwich, I suppose. And right now we're getting that answered. 5-on-5 and 45 seconds left, and still not a single kill has come out on either side. Depth really waiting to the last ditch moment. They're procrastinating this execute from what it appears to be, and it's only worked about 50% of the time. The other 50 has just been an utter disaster, and that impact trick will be a disastrous taste in the mouths of Depth. They have to funnel in from that back doorway in towards the moto part of the map, and they might have a different approach in from Kool-Aid wall now, though, as Buck, Breeze up above, is able to do just that. Dami wide swings on in, picks up one. Trades come out, though, by both Fry and Rice. Now the defuse being attended by Pin. Rice trying to find another, but things now to 3-on-2. Dami picks up a 2K for himself as Glip shuts down Rice. Post-plant situation. Max from behind picks up one, or Matt, my mistake, evening things up once more, but this is in fact a better position for Depth. Now in a 1 versus 1. Dami needs to find this 4K if he wants to clutch things out, but on the bright side, he doesn't have to worry about that C4. It'll be a gunfight head-on, and Glip is walking right into the Lion's Den up against Dami. P comes out, but he looks the wrong way! Dami, no! He's not coming from Kool-Aid! He's coming from main doorway. Glip, having barely enough time to salvage the defuse, will get it, and Prevail will bring us to match point.
Oh my goodness, Prevail, round 11 in their books, match point for them, but I don't think that's going to be the last we see of Depth, that's for gosh darn sure. We've seen them pull off the miracles back in back, but right now, Prevail coming on a 2-round streak. They're having Maddie really clutch up where necessary, and when Maddie's able to find, we've seen it, John. We've seen these flanks come through, pick after pick, kill after kill, finding doubles and triples to guarantee success. Spiker's been doing it the entire time. They've been coming inside of the objective. They've been finding kills. They've been running outside of the entire map to find spawn peaks on the defensive side. I mean, Depth have tried so much off the back of Spiker, and more of these players are attempting to get more and more kills, but when you've got Dami, who's just having to clutch up so much and rely so much and so heavily on these standout players, the side that's more consistent across the board is going to be the side that's more than likely going to come up on top. Prevail, they don't have a player with a Kusei. Their lowest player is Exist with 3, and that is a pretty low number, but Breeze also has 3 on the opposing side, so there's 2 players with the same or lower than the lowest player on Prevail. This is not a good position for Depth, even if they manage to bring this back in overtime. They don't even need to necessarily win, they just need to lose in an overtime 8-7. Even if they manage to do that and they go to playoffs, it doesn't necessarily bode well for them. I mean, if they make it into playoffs by the skin of their teeth, and probably one of the most difficult interactions I've seen in a match between these two sides, they're more than likely going to get knocked off in the first or even second if they get that lucky into the playoffs, and that does not seem like a good position to be in. They've got to make changes, not just in terms of how they're playing, but just their entire strategy, cohesiveness, and how they're piecing together their interactions between the opposing teams and themselves.
Now, with all that being said, though, I want to go a little bit back in time. Not too far, though, I swear. Back into Depth currently attacking right now. It's been really sloppy because of that late kind of push, and what's been devastating them the most, the flanks. What can you normally not watch in the last 20 seconds of the round? Probably the flank. It's just textbook definition of why the 20-second meta is just, I'm glad that's pretty much gone. Depth's kind of bringing it back. It's resurrecting it, I suppose, but that's not what they need to do. They need to be much more influential in this middle game. Even right now, as a matter of fact, they're getting that platform wall opened up, but I'm beginning to worry that that's pretty much it. They're basically going to fully commit all of their players into the other side of the map and waste their own time pretty effectively, and then that's going to come down to another basically one-sided push, and oh dear God, it's happening again. It just hasn't been working out. It hasn't.
I have fear. I think that's what's going on. There's just so much just discrepancy going on right now, John. I don't know how to phrase it. I don't know exactly how these interactions are panning out. It's shocking by all accounts. There's just so much happening for both sides that's not changing. Prevail has managed to change a couple things, and that's mostly just been killing Spiker. And even when you kill Spiker, Rice and Dami are right behind. Dami really just having 4 at the beginning of last round and then finding a 4K and continuing and going off and finding success. But they've got to do beyond that. They're going in with the Gemini Replicator. Dami does find information of players inside Cash Room, but Prevail know that they can't sit in Cash Room because Depth do a great job of jiggle peeking the corner and finding success with nades. We've seen time and time again exist with the Maestro, who's not playing Maestro this time around, but sitting in the exact same spot as they just were doing and getting naded out. Nade does go exactly there, so they are aware of that position. Bix gets a Nitro from below. It does take out Dami, but Dami got the nade off onto Exist just before. That is the second time we've seen in this objective alone that Exist has been felled from a nade. It didn't need to this time around, but Bix attempting to go outside of that eastern suburb, getting for a long shot angle. Glyph has the opportunity though, but Maddie finds the next. Spiker will be downed. A 4v3 in play. Pin, still with 0 kills, needs to find something because Rice cannot. Bix will find the kill there instead. It's now a 2v4. Pin still has 0 kills. Glyph does find Breeze. It's Pin. They'll need to find all 4. They find 1, but they can't find the second. And Maddie will finish us off as Prevail take round 12.
You got 1. Put it in the books, boys. You didn't get the donut, but they did take the L. Now, round differences and all that overall might keep them alive, but we were talking about that overtime issue with them, and that it is close. It was a round off OT, and they did lose it. So it's possible, but obviously we were wrong on our talking point earlier, so maybe I am wrong yet again. And oh no, they ended up becoming eliminated. That now happened. Depth is in fact eliminated. Barely, but it is in fact true. The worst has in fact happened for Depth.
Depth faces Death. Yeah, and you see over on your left side, Toys and Dallas Vendetta eliminated out. On the other side, Depth and Emergence out, but you got Lay Mickey, X13, Mystic, and Phantom. They go all the way through, and then you've got, I believe that's Prevail. I may be a little stupid. I think that's literally the team we were just watching. Synthetic, Slaughterhouse, and Tidal. They all make it all the way through. First seed on first seed. I would love to see Lay Mickey facing off against Prevail. I think that would be such a cool matchup to see, just because knowing how well they play. But it's unfortunately that's just not how it works. Right? I would love to see that. I wish it was how it works. I wish you could see the best of the best facing the best of the best. I know it's like unfair because they earned their right. They were first seed, so they get to like face the lower seed, but it would be so cool.
Just beat him again, Forehead.
Yeah, just beat him again. Like just win. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's not that hard. Come on, dude.
It's not that bad. I mean, like, listen, I've seen some teams that are ranked really high in some sports and esports that just lose to the underdog, and then you never get to see the cool thing that happens off in the end. But unfortunately, that's all we have here for R6 today. Producer, do we have some League of Legends or Valorant after this? What's going on? Valorant is going on after this, so stay tuned. I personally love some Valorant. I'm a caster for it as well. Enjoy always hanging out and watching as well. Oh wait, yeah, he is too,
dude. That's crazy. Oh gosh, that's insane.
Well, like that's just such a what a weird coincidence, UPL, that we cast Valorant. So thank you guys very much for watching. We'll make sure to stay tuned. Some more Valorant as well right after this one. Can't promise it to be as exciting as that last game, but I'm sure it's still going to be some of the best of the best. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.